Let's talk about who Blot is. Blot is a non-main Toon in Dandy's world, and he's the most expensive one to unlock, costing a whopping 3000 Ichor. But that's just the start. To even get him, you need to complete Looey and Yatta's masteries, and Yatta requires owning at least 15 other Toons. That's a minimum of 18,750 Ichor if you're starting fresh. Ouch. Blot's a mime-like ink blob with a teardrop-shaped head and a striped shirt. Part of the Circus Troupe with Yatta, the unicyclist, and Looey the juggler. His gameplay is similar to Sprout's, with a tape-based decoy ability called Blot Jr. But unlike Sprout's, Twisted Blot is stationary, spawning black traps that damage nearby Toons. His stats are decent, but he has got one less star in skill check than Sprout. So what makes him so special? Well, let's find out. If you look at his dialogue, there is a mystery with Blot. That is his backward speech. If you have played Dandy's world, you know Blot's dialogue is written backwards, making it a puzzle to read in real time. Let's look at some key lines and what they mean. When Blot finishes extractions, he says, "This wasn't fun. Finally done." Backwards. Sounds like he's not loving the Ichor grind, right? When he activates his Blot Jr ability, it's a mini-me. And when he's descending floors, he groans. Is it over yet? These lines show Blot's stressed but playful vibe, tying into his role as a distractor support Toon. But here's the kicker. Not all Toons understand him. Only Yatta, Looey, Cosmo, and V, the translator, they can figure out what he's saying. But remember, we need a translator to understand him. Others like Astro, Brightney, and Buxton are totally lost. Why? We will get to that, but first, let's translate some of his Toon interactions to see what they reveal. When he is descending elevator, he says going down further. He could also say under your bed you always leave them there and forget. So why do some Toons get Blot's backwards talk while others don't? Let's look at his key interactions. First, Yatta and Looey, his Circus Troupe buddies, understand him perfectly. Check this out with Looey. Blot, do you know where my juggling pins went? Under your bed you always leave them there and forget. Looey responds like it's no big deal, saying, Blot, you always know where me and Yatta leave stuff. This shows Blot's super observant, keeping tabs on his troupe. In another chat, Blot asks Looey for pantomime act ideas, and Looey's all in, proving their tight bond. Yatta's even more fun. Blot, Blot, Blot. What is it? And Yatta just giggles. He, hi. And Blot's like, it's such a sibling vibe. Then there's the candy stash argument. Blot calls out Yatta for hiding candy in vents, saying, Yatta, you're not a squirrel. We are all inside. You don't need to hide vent candy. Yatta's response is, you will never take my candy stash. Poor Chaos and they get each other perfectly. Cosmo's a bit different. He asks, but did you still want that order of 3 cakes? Blot says, yes. And when Cosmo's a bit different, Cosmo asks, why? Blot just says Yatta. Cosmo gets it, but it's simpler words, so maybe he's just good at context clues as a chill baker. Vito needs a translator. Blot asks V, do you have your translator on? And pitches a circus act for her show. She teases him by turning it off, like, not today, Blot. Now compare that to Toons who don't get him. Astro hears, Astro put on a smile, and goes, what was that? He only gets it after Blot repeats, smile. Brightney straight up says, I wish I could understand you better. I don't know how Yatta and Looey do it. Buxton is confused too, only catching that Blot's checking on him. So what's the deal? Here's the big question. Why do Yatta, Looey, and sometimes Cosmo and V understand Blot, but others don't? It's all about the Circus Troupe bond. Yatta and Looey are Blot's ride or die crew. As a mime, Blot's all about pantomime, non-verbal communication through gestures. Yatta's a unicyclist, Looey's juggler. Both rely on physical performance skills. They're probably used to reading Blot's body language to get his backward speech. Blot's loyalty to the troupe seals it. He tells V, I won't. Looey and Yatta will always need me. That mutual trust lets them understand him intuitively. Cosmo's a wild card. His calm vibe might help him pick up simple words like yes or yatta, maybe from hanging out at circus events. His techie translator is the only non-circus way to crack the code, but it's not natural like the troupe's band. Toons like Astro, Brightney and Buxton, they are just not in the circus crew, so they miss the mime magic. Astro's too sleepy, Brightney is too bright and Buxton's too anxious to keep up. So what's the deeper meaning behind Blot? His backward speech is not just a gimmick, it ties into his mime persona, and maybe even the game's dark lore. As an ink blob, Blot's origins are mysterious. Toons with a special affinity like the Circus Troupe can clearly understand him. Though why Blot is like this could be because of his mime roots, where gestures speak louder than words. His high Ichor cost, 3000 plus 18,750 for masteries, make him feel like a rare, almost otherworldly Toon. Could he be tied to Dandy's Ichor experiments, or the Twisted Toons? Twisted Blood stationary traps suggest his unique threat, unlike Sprout's mobile Twisted form. His dialogue hints at vulnerability too. Is it over yet? And this wasn't fun. Show he's stressed despite his playful side with Yatta and Looey. Maybe Blood's hiding a tragic backstory like being created from Ichor gone wrong. What do you think? Drop your theories in the comments. And that's our deep dive into Blot's backward speech and what it tells us about his character. From his Circus Troupe bond to his pricey unlock, Blot's a fascinating mix of creepy and cute. What's your favorite plotline? Mine's gotta be his candy rant with Yatta. You're not a squirrel. Classic. Vote in the poll and let me know in the comments. Should Blot get some new dialogue? And what's his deal with Ichor? Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Today we are cracking open the storyboards for 3 iconic moments. Argumentative woes, winning big, and the intriguing season 2 episode 3. These storyboards are like treasure maps to the Toon drama, and trust me, there's a lot to unpack. So grab your Ichor free snacks and let's get started. First up, let's talk about argumentative woes. Likely season 3 episode 12, starring Dandy and Astro, with the spicy camo from our favorite grumpy shrimp, Shrimpo. According to Dandy's World Wiki, this episode aired on July 18, 1999, and the storyboards are bursting with tension. In the storyboards, we see Shrimpo pointing aggressively at Astro, probably yelling something like, "You ate my last bento!" I'm sorry. Because, you know, Shrimpo's always got a chip on his shell. Astro, our sleepy astrologist, looks caught off guard, and who can blame him? Shrimpo's got a -99 stealth stat, so you can hear his range from a mile away. Enter Dandy, the flower with the heart of gold, or maybe just a lot of petals. He's trying to play mediator, probably saying